This podcast is a part of the Podmania Podcasting Network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom, right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I am your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by Chris O'Brien. Chris O'Brien, how are you on this fine Monday?
Are you okay there, buddy? You're talking like in a weird flat. I'm okay, but Noah's show broke me. It broke me.
It broke you to the point of creating a video about it.
That's the fastest I've ever made a fucking video. Like, it happened on Friday. I was going to do it on the Friday, and then I started recording, and it was just like a scream. I was just screaming, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should leave it a day. And then like, wrote it that night, recorded it and edited it in one day and threw it up for Sunday morning, and Keiji Muto's champ, boys. And then Jun Akiyama won at the DDT show, which I'm more in favour of. But weird thing is, both of them only just signed. Like, both Akiyama and Muto only just signed at like the recent Cyberfight Cyberfight event, because Akiyama was still with All Japan. And I guess he's just gone now. I'm kind of sad he's left unceremoniously, but like, All Japan's like a distant fourth in Japan right now. Actually, no, even
especially
with
at the moment.
Like, I'm trying to think what the top. Like, so like New Japan's obviously one, and then it's like Dragon Gate's big in Japan right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's always big in Japan, but then we have like Stardom, Noah, DDT. So it's not even top five, is it? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be above it. It's around on the same level of BJW, isn't it? I have no clue what they're actually liking. Someone will probably tell us. Every time we speculate on this, someone always tells us. But yeah, that's a bit sad. How have we talked about, like, I've taken us on a ride here, haven't I?
I have a feeling that you've been waiting for someone to talk to, like, in person about the Keiji Muto victory.
Yeah, this is therapy for me, because it's not like my brother it's not like my brother who thinks wrestling is stupid is going to walk in and go, "Hey, so what did you think of the Keiji Muto title fight?" Like, that's never going to happen.
Can you imagine if that did happen? He just sat down calmly by you and was just like, "Chris, I've got complex feelings regarding Keiji Muto's win over Goshi Ozaki."
My brother's a simple man. He doesn't have
complex feelings about
on many things. Like, he's like, I see a Star War. I like Star War. That's basically
Star War.
He's not a cowboy more than he is a cowdoy. I've also been watching Glee, which surprised you and then didn't, all within the space of half a second.
It's one of those where you think, Glee? Really? It's Chris. Yeah, fair enough. That was my entire thought process roller coaster that I went on.
But, so I'm on season 4, and I'm about to finish it. I'm on the last episode of that. So, but they had a school shooting episode, and it turns out not to be a school shooting. But some girl just brought a gun to school, but like dropped it. It's stupid. But you know what they called it? Shooting Star.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And like, we have one trans woman, and she's like of course she catfished someone. It's ridiculous. Like, it's bad. It's objectively very bad, but I can't turn away.
It's dog shit is what it is. But it's
bad.
It's captivating
so
dog shit.
Yeah, it's like, how are they going to be really problematic next? And like, it's one of those things where someone's going to watch that, like some idiot's going to watch that and go, "Oh man, that's too woke," but it's not. It's actually just really problematic. It's fucking bad. But also, it got me through high school. So
Glee got you through high school?
Well, here's how it used to be. I was not a very smart man in high school, so I didn't understand that Glee and The Big Bang Theory were dog shit. So my Friday was, we always had a half day on Friday. Do you have half days down in England?
No.
Like for schools? Scotland's better. Anyway, so sip of coffee. Half day on Friday. We'd get £2 from our folks every day to get like lunch and stuff. But on a Friday, of course, half day, you go back home for lunch. So I got £2, got a bottle of Coke, got a nice little bag of sweeties, Haribo Star Mix, and maybe Aero Bubbles. I'm feeling like a fancy bitch. And sit down, turn on my little tablet that I had, sometimes a laptop, and my dad wasn't using it. And I would watch all the wrestling from the Thursday, so that would be Impact, NXT, and Ring of Honor. And then afterwards, I would watch all the TV from Thursday, so that at the time would be How I Met Your Mother, Glee, and The Big Bang Theory. And then the night would be spent playing games with my friends over Skype. It was a good time, high school, except no, it wasn't.
Currently, Chris, I'm still trying to sort of get a grip of A, how we got here, B, how you can slag off Big Bang Theory when you watched How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother's better than Big Bang Theory.
Right, okay, it's categorically not, Chris. For a start, if it had finished after 6 seasons, yes, I'm with you 100%, because...
Oh, that last season of How I Met Your Mother was dog shit.
God. Oh my God. And it's the same with Big Bang Theory.
Especially that last episode.
It's the same with Big Bang Theory.
The thing is with Big Bang Theory, they didn't attempt to change the joke, and that's what got bad about it, because eventually it just became, haha, kooky people doing nerdy things, and it just wasn't funny, and they just didn't seem to like the geek culture we were referencing. It was weird. This reminds me of, though, in the Discord after last week's show, I think Velka laughed because I said something and you didn't engage me. And you said if I engaged everything Chris said, it would be 5 hours long. Apparently you're right, because how long are we into this podcast now and we haven't talked about Stardom once?
We are 7 minutes into this podcast and we have talked about Glee, NXT Impact, Ring of Honor, How I Met Your Mother, your job interview, your Keiji Muto video,
my time in high school. Also, the job interview was before we started recording.
Oh, well, everyone who is listening to the podcast, Chris has a job interview tomorrow, probably as you are listening to this. So please wish him luck, give him encouragement. I'm sure he's going to do very well. Would you like to tell the lovely ladies and gentlemen at home what the job is for, or is that going to be saved for when you get the job?
That's going to be... I don't want to say in case I don't get the job.
Okay, let's leave it there then, Chris. Let's move on to some actual Stardom stuff, since that's what we're here to do.
And some SEAdLINNG.
And some SEAdLINNG, yeah, absolutely. We're branching out in our Joshi. I do just want to say briefly that the Go to Budokan Valentine's special shows, which were the Korakuen shows from the 13th and the 14th, we aren't going to cover, because at the time of recording there was one match from the 13th up on Stardom World, which was Azumi versus Theory. So those two shows will be next week's podcast. And obviously with those two shows being next week's podcast, there's going to be quite a lot of Giulia stuff that has been going around Twitter and indeed our Discord that we will be discussing next week. So the big angle that came out of Korakuen, which I somehow managed to avoid and then saw. It was the most... No, it wasn't on our Discord, because our Discord is really good for putting stuff in the live event stuff. No, I saw it on... I think it was on Google. You know where you get those little cards at the bottom?
Don't. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, it must have been a takeover before they became completely dog shit. And I was just about to go to watch wrestling to watch it, and then Google alert came up telling me the results. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I now know the main thing coming out of it. So we will be discussing that next week, and I imagine we are going to be talking about that at length next week. But this show, we've got some news. We're going to be looking at the shows from the 6th and the 7th, the final 2 dates of the New Year's Stars Tour. The SEAdLINNG match from the 10th between Saya Iida, Momo Watanabe, Naoya Takahashi, and Arisa Nakajima. And then we're going to look at the show from the 11th of February from KBS Hall. And then we're going to have a look at your questions from our Twitter and our lovely Discord. So let's delve straight in, Chris, and some news regarding the Budokan show. The Budokan show, of course, on the 3rd of March, rapidly approaching. I'm super excited. Couple of bits of information. At B3RT4, on Twitter, and then it was posted into our Discord afterwards, has said that the show itself on the 3rd will be airing live on Samurai TV. The broadcast is starting at 4 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, and that's interesting because the show itself isn't actually scheduled to start until, 6 o'clock Japanese Standard Time. Now, you can get Samurai TV in England. There is an app that you can download, which I believe is completely legal, and then you pay a small fee and you can access some of the Japanese channels. So if you want to go and do that, then we actively encourage you to do that. I will be up on World. I think so. I imagine it will be on World relatively quickly. They've been pretty good with the big shows in the quick turnaround, so it will be on World, I would have thought, very quickly. Chris, I just wanted to ask you about the broadcast starting at 4 o'clock and the show starting at 6. At B3RT4 has said that he wonders, or they wonder, should I say, whether that is whether that's something that Samurai know that we don't. So whether we're getting, some sort of pre-show or not. What do you think?
It wouldn't, because if you look at when Noah stream on a beamer, there's always like an hour of the commentators discussing the show before the show itself. So it's a decent chance that it's just that, to be honest.
Yeah, and we had that on the Osaka Dream Cinderella show, didn't we? We had a bit of time where the commentary team were just going through some of the matches. So it could just be that. It would be interesting to see if the Rumble takes place during that time, because I think that'd be quite cool to have. Basically, this event is sort of saluting the future of Stardom, and I think it'd be quite cool to have the Rumble where you are acknowledging the past 10 years. You look at some of the entrants that have gone through Stardom throughout its 10-year tenure, and then you've got the future of Stardom, assuming that Saya Kamitani and Utami is the main event, which it should be. I think it's quite nice to have that sort of, this is the past, but we're looking to the future. Whether that is, or whether it is just a case of you've got the commentary team talking about it, I don't know, but we will see. I'm sure people will be able to get it via VPN and stuff like that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as the time rolls on.
Speaking of, this podcast is brought to you by NordVPN. It's not.
Shark VPN. Speaking of the Rumble, we've had some more participants announced. So we gave you last week a rundown of who'd been announced and a little bit of information garnered on some basic research I'd done. I have gone back and watched some Koguma matches, and I'm very excited to see her. She's fantastic. These are the names that have been announced, this second sort of wave of announcements. I'll just read through all the names and then ask you about it, Chris, and we'll go through some of the more interesting things about them. So you've got Chigusa Nagoya. I hope that's how you say it. Chigusa Nagoyo. Kiyoki Inoue. Mima Shimoda, Emi Sakura, Hiroyo Matsumoto, Rin Kadokura, and Mei Hoshizuki. So from those names, obviously, Emi Sakura we know because of her participation in AEW and her participation in Gato Move. Rin Kadokura and Mei Hoshizuki we've seen take part in Stardom matches. Rin Kadokura has just been announced in the AEW Women's Tournament and was part of that fantastic Marvelous versus Queen's Quest show back in November, I think, either November or October, as was Mei Hoshizuki. It was
going into Osaka Dream Battle, wasn't it?
No, I think it was earlier than that. Was it going into Sendai Cinderella? Because wasn't that where...
Yeah, that would make sense because Mei Hashiki, she's when he faced Azumi at Osaka Dream, isn't she? She's
Yes.
the one who she's the one who drop kicks and then never fucking stops.
All of the drop kicks, all of the time. So yeah, those three names we are relatively familiar with. Of those other names, Chris, do you know them? Do you know anything about them? Anything like that?
No, but I'm sure by saying no, I'm going to know about them very quickly.
To be honest, I'm literally just... this is very basic research. Again, being a relative noob into the Joshi fandom, it's always interesting to learn more about people like this and people from history. So, Chigusa... I hope it's Chigusa. I keep saying it wrong. It is Chigusa Nagoyo. Huge fanfare around her and Kyoko Inoue because they were huge in like All Japan Women's and places like that. Inoue especially is so decorated. The title she's won is unreal. Like on Cage Match, it's like an entire page. It's unreal how many titles she's won. Same with Nagoyo. She's wrestled in All Japan Women's. She's wrestled most recently in Marvelous. Held multiple titles across multiple promotions. Same with Inoue. She's wrestled in DDT, Diana, All Japan Women's Champion, All Pacific Champion. She has wrestled in Stardom as part of that Battle Royal from No People Gate, and she has wrestled in SEAdLINNG as well. Mima Shimoda is part of CMLL. She's wrestled in Diana as well. The one that I'm most interested in is Matsumoto, who has wrestled once in Stardom, and that was as part of Kagetsu's Gauntlet on the 15th of February, which is quite interesting.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, exactly. So did I. It was in the early days, the infancy of this podcast. And she's wrestled most recently for Sendai Girls and Oz Academy. But yeah, big names being put into this Rumble. And I know you said last time, Chris, that, let's be honest, it's a Rumble. There's a ceiling on what is going to happen. But it's always nice to see these little nods to Stardom's history and nod to Joshi Wrestling's history, because I do know very, very little about wider Joshi history, and it's something that I've always been quite interested in learning more about. And these names coming up are certainly a way for me to get into that. Let's move on then from the Rumble. It's been announced, I don't know whether it was announced today or yesterday, but it's come to light that the Hana Kimura tribute show that is being arranged by her mum, Kyoko Kimura, will be on the 23rd of May, which is the anniversary of her death. It'll be at KBS Hall, and this is what she put out on Twitter. The official homepage and ticket sales will be scheduled from the end of February. She will be the organizer, so it's not a Stardom branded show. But she has received a lot of cooperation. That's all we've got so far. But you imagine, Kristen, we talked a little bit about this before we came on air. You imagine that Stardom are going to have a big, big participation in that show. I mean, her best friends, her closest friends were part of that company. It's where, as you said, she gained most of her sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Her
notoriety.
Yeah, exactly. So it would certainly make sense for Stardom to be prevalent on that card, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't, because whether she not been a year she's wrestled where she hasn't wrestled in with the exception of 2005. Weird. How old would she have been in 2005? She's same age as me, I think. How old was I in 2005? 8. God damn. She won the... I forgot, she won the DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal title.
Was that in 2005?
Yeah.
Oh, there you
go. That's the 24-hour one where it's continuously on. The one that's been held by, most recently, by the Young Bucks book.
I do remember.
They've held it for 61 days.
God's sake. Anyway, let's get on to some DDT. Of... I would fucking not. You are incorrect. Let's look on then at some of the Stardom wrestling that's been taking place over the last couple of weeks. We start with the New Year's Stars show from the 6th of February, night 7 of the New Year's Stars tour from Shinjuku Face in front of 216 people. First things first, I'm just going to run through a couple of results. The first match Starlight Kid defeated Ruaka at 8 minutes and 15 seconds, debuting the Texas Cloverleaf as a finish, and it looked brutal, and I loved it. It really plays into this like harder-edged Starlight Kid that we've seen, which she'd then go on and play, that promo she does with Giulia. I think it's at the end of this show. Brilliant. Really, she's not even bratty anymore. She's just, she's confident, and I love it. And, we've talked for a while about her needing an impact finisher or a brutal finisher, and I think this could be it because she locked it in really, really well here. And then match 2, Sayaka defeated Lady C at 7 minutes and 13 seconds with the Northern Lights suplex. I don't know if you watched this next match, Chris. Match 3, Mayu Iwatani defeated Go Kick and Death and Tam Nakano at 5 minutes and 48 seconds with the jackknife. Did you watch this?
I really wanted Death to win just to hear you have a fucking meltdown.
Honestly, I found this match really entertaining, and Go Kick and Death was a huge part of it. And this match genuinely made me belly laugh. She was trying to outsmart Mayu, and just 3 times she did the same thing, and you watch Mayu fall for it. And then I think it was the 4th time she tried it. Mayu just stood there and looked at her as though to go, "What are you doing? We're on the same team. What are you doing?" But yeah, it was great. It had all this comedy whilst you still had the simmering undercurrent of the tension between Mayu and Tam. So that ran adjacent to it. It wasn't forgotten because it was more of a comedy match. But yeah, it was actually really, really quite fun. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. I enjoyed it hugely. Plus Mayu won, which, yes, I would have been very angry if she'd have if Go Kick and Death had won. Anyway, let's move on to the first match that I know we've both seen. And it was the tag team match, match 4, a Queen's Quest tag team match with the team of Azumi and Utami and the team of Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe playing out a time limit draw at 15 minutes. Chris, what do you think of this match?
It was really good, really fast paced. You were never going to have like an actual finish here because it's an interfaction match with no one who can really eat a pin going into Budokan. I did like a lot of the spots between Utami and Saya. It made me both worried and excited for their match because the sequences they had were really good, but I don't want them to just repeat them again at Budokan, which is a worry.
I see what you mean, but over the next couple of shows, we see Saya Kamitani debut more and more moves, and she's promised that more and more moves will be debuted. I know she debuts another one at Korakuen, which we'll talk about next week. But, just over the last couple of shows, she's debuted the Phoenix Splash, she's debuted the Star Crusher, which, by the way, that is an absolutely fantastic finish. I love that.
She did a tope con Hilo and almost fucking killed her.
Which I was going to talk about. That tope con Hero, the no-touch tope con Hero, which is fucking difficult to do in this venue as well. Shinjuku Face is a small venue, and there is not a lot of room between the apron and the crowd. And she went for it. And it was like, oh my god, oh shit! But she hit it perfectly. It was really, really good. Fair play to her.
It reminded me of an ICW show I went to in Edinburgh. It was in this like little club next to the student union, and the ceilings were really low, and the lights were almost touching the wrestlers when we went to the top rope. And Wolfgang went for his fucking senton, and people were like, "No, don't! You're gonna fucking die."
Oh god!
It was like, it's too fair. It's not the worst thing on that thing. I had glass almost fly at me in a death match, but yeah, in terms of this match, I was really surprised with Tope con Hilo. Azumi continues to be low key one of the smoothest people in all of Stardom.
Completely agree. Agree.
It's mad how she can go from normally when people do like a head scissors into a armbar, it feels so choreographed. And Azumi, I think it might be because of her size. I know it feels more natural for her to be running around people. I do like Saya hitting the
Star Crusher.
I forgot. Yeah, I do like her hitting the Star Crusher right at the end. like going, "Oh, I had you." That's a good way to go into Budokan without actually hurting anyone. So I did enjoy this. Like in terms of like interfaction matches, Queen's Quest are probably best at it.
Oh god, yeah. They
Yeah,
haven't put on a bad interfaction match.
Yeah, even in like the 5-star, they all worked well with each other. So they're really good with each other. So this was always going to be really good. And yeah, I'm not mad at this draw either because it makes sense. This also comes into spoilers, a DQ we had later in the next show. So yeah, I did really like this one. I give it 3 3/4.
I give it 4 stars. I actually enjoyed this more than their match at Korakuen New Landscape, where they were battling for the Goddess of Stardom tag belts. I felt like that was brilliant, and there's only a quarter of star difference, but I felt that was a bit flat compared to this. And for this, there was a little bit more story. You got the whole Utami versus Saya Kamitani thing. You got the innovation between Azumi and Utami. There was a lariat into a destroyer, which was fucking great. And then there was a sunset flip into a bridging German. Everything was so smooth. There was a couple of maybe rough exchanges right at the start of the match. But Saya just built and built and built and grew into this match. And she continues to evolve. And I think that's a huge thing. Like you say, that ending with the Star Crusher, just as the time expires, no one is kicked out of the Star Crusher yet. It is being billed as a destructive move, and she has got that little leg up on Utami now, which, let's be honest, she hadn't got up until this point. There's going to be a 4-way, or there has been a 4-way at Korakuen, so that all builds towards this, which I'm very, very excited about. Just before we move on, Chris, there was a question on Twitter in regard to that Tope Con Hero. At Matt B425, or B425, has asked on Twitter, is there a female wrestler to ever consistently do over-the-top suicide dives? Seems nuts that Saya even attempted it, considering the explosive strength it takes to clear the top rope. Not get your toe snagged, and then get enough air to either land on your feet or do a flip. To my mind, I'm sure there'll be someone on Twitter or Discord.
There'll be someone, definitely.
There'll be someone.
Like, I can't see it not happening at this point. No one comes to mind, but I'm sure if I've sat down and thought about it, I could think of someone. It's a bit like, just because most people, most women who end up wrestling aren't tall enough to do it, and the ones who are tall enough don't tend to have that kind of offense. So it is rare, I think, but it's definitely happened before. I'm sure it happened like all Japan's women, because they did fucking everything.
To be honest, as well, if you just consider Stardom, I can't think of anyone on the roster, current Stardom roster, that would do it.
Apart from Saya, yeah.
Apart from Saya,
the only one, I'm pretty sure May would do it, but like she has no regard for her own body or anyone else's. Shiri could possibly do it. Not Shiri. Giulia. Why did I say Shiri? Giulia could possibly do it. She's elastic enough and tall enough, but like it's not really her kind of moveset, is it?
No, it sort of goes against her character, especially at the moment.
See, we're going to be surprised. Mina Shirakawa is going to come back and suddenly she's going to be acting like fucking 2005 Jack Evans.
Well, that brings us into the next match in a moment. Which, going back to the question, I mean, you've got Saya Kamitani doing this. She's the only one at the moment who's doing this. I'm sure.
Oh, but how to stand out?
Yeah,
like, because we don't really have we have fast workers, but we don't really have high flyers.
Well,
in Stardom,
this is the same person, don't forget, who's doing the Phoenix Splash, which is an incredibly difficult move to master.
Exactly. So, like, she's incredibly athletic, which does help her stand out. Like, everyone's athletic, but like no one's doing flips. So, like, this would be a nice little niche for her.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
She could be like the flyer.
And if she's continually breaking these moves out, it does build her credibility as we go on towards Budokan for this Red Belt Challenge, because she is having to prove herself, because there are so many people who think she shouldn't be in the main event. So this constant reinvention, this constant innovation, it's only going to help, isn't it? It's only going to help Saya Kamitani's stock as we move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy with how this match moves everything forward. Apart from, like, it's basically impossible to build up both Azumi and Momo's feuds going into the show when their opponents aren't on Stardom's payroll.
Yeah, Mayu and Momo, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, also, doesn't Azumi have one comment? Never mind. Let's move on.
Yeah, with Natsupoi.
Oh no, I'm mistaking Azumi with Saya. So,
okay, that makes more sense.
I'm stupid. All right, moving on.
That does make some more sense. So we move on to match 5, which was the first of Unagi Sayaka's 7-match trial series, with Giulia defeating Unagi at 13 minutes and 59 seconds with the sleeper hold. Chris, I've got lots of things to say about this match. I would like to hear what you have to say first. Off you go.
I liked it. It was a lot of the same kind of things as we saw in the tag match. Especially with Giulia essentially playing with her food. Except Unagi, of course, got a couple more host spots in because that's how story progression works, but otherwise it's kind of just a singles version of that tag match from the last show, I think. It's still really good. It's probably one of the better matches of anything on this card. I think Unagi showing himself to be a decent storyteller. Still has a tiny bit of problem with not really having any bombs to throw, especially becomes apparent against Giulia, whose whole moveset is basically bombs. But I honestly, it was really good. If you'd told me Giulia would be having this kind of match with a rookie a year ago, I wouldn't have believed you. This is proper good.
I loved, and I'm really sorry, I think it's Velkage in our Discord, drew the parallel and actually posted some footage of Giulia's own trial match against Aja Kong in Oz Academy back in 2018 from the same venue. And you've got Giulia throwing dropkick after dropkick after dropkick, and Aja Kong literally just standing there and giving her nothing. And it's quite interesting to see that, and then have a look at this match where Giulia gives Unagi absolutely nothing. And I know that's not to everyone's taste. I know there are some very vocal fans out there that it is not to their taste. However, I think it works perfectly. And I'm going to be sort of talking about this as we talk about this and her next match against Azumi. But Giulia hit the nail on the head with this in her opening promo, where she says, what on earth is Unagi actually going to have learned in a week since I beat her last? And I think that sort of tells us why the match was so similar to the tag match, because there's been a week past. You know, Giulia eviscerated and embarrassed Unagi. You know, she's going to want to prove herself, but she's not going to have suddenly developed a way of kicking out of Giulia's finish, of striking her down. Of course she's not. She's a rookie, and she is treated as such by Giulia, who has got this complete disdain for her. Not just the disdain for her, but a disdain for Tam, who, you know, beating her pupil up in front of her. What better way to build heat with Tam than to literally beat the shit out of Unagi in front of Tam?
When it comes to the no selling, it's one of those things where you do just need to be cool enough to pull it off. Like, you think of some of, like, the most notorious, like, for example, going back to All Japan Women's in the 90s, you've probably seen this gif of Bull Nakano being completely walloped with kendo sticks and just standing there and taking it.
Yeah.
Like, and then no one complains because because Bull Nakano's fucking awesome, and you're not going to complain. It's the same when, like, Brock Lesnar just sort of stumbles for a chair shot. It just sort of needs to be in the right context, and within the context of this story, I think it worked. Giulia doesn't always do stuff like this. Like, a lot of the time, she bumps for people hard. Like, she tries hard with her opponents. This is just her acting a certain way to serve the story being told. So I have no problem with the no selling here.
I don't at all, and there's a reason as to why as well. Go on, carry on.
It's not like she's like. No, this is like just obviously the story being told. It's not like she's just no selling to make, like, deliberately. It's not a shoot, is what I'm saying. She's not no selling deliberately to make Nagi look bad. This series is meant to show Nagi slowly getting better throughout it, and with the 2 matches we've had so far, it has.
Exactly. So, and we talked about how these matches are. Let's be honest, they're almost carbon copies. I mean, even the finish is the same, but. Unagi still doesn't go to pieces as easily as she did in that tag match. And she did get in slightly more offense. And you listen to the crowd reaction in both nights, on the 11th against Azumi and here against Giulia, the crowd are getting behind it. Giulia gets nothing out of this. Azumi gets nothing out of this. Mayu gets nothing out of this trial series. Okay? Unagi, whatever they do, is getting Unagi over. That is the point. And, in regard to what you said about the no-selling, I've seen, like I say, negativity surrounding Giulia's treatment of Unagi, but ultimately, each of the 7 matches is going to offer something different. Giulia wants to humiliate Unagi, both because maybe she was humiliated as that rookie and she sees this as penance for that, but also she wants to do it in a way to get to Tam, humbling her student in front of her, showing that she can't teach. Azumi and Mayu aren't going to do that in that way. There's different stories going in. I mean, doing this does massive wonders for Unagi as the crowd are audibly behind her during this match. But, despite having been built up as this baby face and getting that crowd fire, she's still finished off by Giulia with what is not even one of her finishes. And I think that's really important. Yes, you've got your babyface heat, but remember your place on the roster. And I think that's really, really, really important.
No, I think because even I've talked about this before, but it's arc maintenance, these singles matches. Like the Unagi, even this Unagi series is basically just helping establish that Stardom tier list.
Yeah.
So that does this perfectly. Unagi's nowhere near Giulia's level. Giulia's for one of the main champions. And like course, there's time for Unagi. They're building her up right now. Like everyone has eaten a ton of. This isn't like Ospreay losing at Wrestle Kingdom, where that was legitimately a bad decision. Unagi's meant to be looking weak here. That's her story.
Absolutely. The whole point of it, if she comes out and beats Giulia, what's the fucking point in the rest of the matches?
Yeah, like she's not going to come out and fucking Goldberg Giulia. It's not going to be like
runs through her. Absolutely runs through her.
To be fair, I thought that was going to happen with Yosuji and what's his name? Togi Makabe in last year. But it didn't, and it honestly was a bit disappointing. But yeah, Unagi's not going to do that. Maybe Mina. But yeah, this was great. I think I'd like this match a bit more. Not that I didn't like it, but I'd like it more if they didn't have that tag match, since they did play the same chemistry and nothing was gained by having both.
No, absolutely. I thought the tag match. I really enjoyed the tag match. I think that came over in the last podcast. This was a great installment. It's great storytelling. I gave it 3.5 stars, Chris. What about you?
I gave it 3.25. I did really like it.
Yeah. What did you think about the golden smoking pipe she's got? According to @1222 Dragon Moon, any translation I do are via them. Please go and follow them. Their account is great for anything related to Stardom, so please go and check that out. But apparently the smoking pipe is in tribute to her favourite samurai, Keiji Maeda. So there you go. The more you know.
It's kind of cool to have a favourite samurai.
It is.
If I said my favorite samurai, it's going to be one of the fucking Ninja Storm Power Rangers. It's going to be like the Green Samurai Ranger from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. And like, that's just not cool. You can't walk into a room and go, I'm a big fan of Power Rangers, and expect people to take you seriously.
Match 6 then, the main event of this show. I meant to say this earlier before I go into the result. The lighting on this show was abysmal.
It wasn't the best. No, it was quite dark, wasn't it?
It went from being so dark to being instantly too bright, and actually it fucked with the focus of loads of the cameras, because obviously the spotlights were behind, so right in front of the cameras on the hard cam side. So every time the lights came on, it fucked with the focus of the camera. But it was just so dark. I don't think I've ever... they've had shows at Shinjuku Face before. I've never noticed it be that dark before, ever.
No, and, if it was, when they had match in that weird venue in... I forgot where it was. I kind of understood why the lighting was a bit weird. I don't see how here, because how many times have they run Shinjuku Face? It's a fairly common venue for them. Well, not common, but it's not an uncommon place for them to run. They've run it before, and Shinjuku Face is held loads of wrestling shows this year alone. So it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because DDT had a show there, and they didn't have bad lighting. But again, DDT, I think, a bit better on the production side, but still, you know what I mean? It's weird.
Did mean to say, and I did forget actually to mention this. I was going to lump this all together on the 7th, but I am going to talk about it now. Obviously, after this Unagi match, which it's important to say, Unagi doesn't tap out.
No,
it's referee's decision. So it is important to say that she got her ass handed to her again by Giulia, but she still hasn't given up, and that's a really key point. But post-match, Tam enters the ring and basically wants a singles match. Giulia puts forward that her hair be put up as a wager for the white belt at Budokan. We'll talk more about that, Chris, on the 7th, because that's when it gets made official. I'll get your thoughts and everything on it there. Main event of this show was Stardom's new kink, which apparently is elimination matches. 4-on-4 elimination match with the Oedo Tai team of Bea Priestley, Konami, Natsuko Tora, and Saki Kashima defeating the Oedo Tai team the Donna Del Mondo team of Himeka, Maika, Natsupoi, and Syuri at 14:37, with Saki Kashima getting the final elimination of Natsupoi with the Kishikasai. Do you know what? I really enjoyed this. It was a really fun installment of the elimination match saga we're currently in. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's much better than the last elimination match they had, like, between just these two teams. Because the pacing was better. Like, there were still eliminations quite close to each other, but they were more spaced out. You weren't waiting until, like, 2 minutes before the match ends to eliminate everyone.
Yeah, the pacing was far better.
I also like that Saki gets the last elimination, because what I also like is the Oedo Tai doing really well in these kind of matches because it's more chaotic. Like, so it just suits them. I do like that. I do like that little attention to detail there. Like definitely. The more, like, they don't do as well in traditional matches, but then in these more chaotic matches, unless apparently it's for a fucking title, they do quite well. I do enjoy that, and I know no one looked bad here. Everyone looked good, even though like Maiku was just going for the championship and she was first eliminated. She still didn't look bad being eliminated. They got DDM got a nice little heat bit because they were behind going into after a couple of eliminations, and then they got it back. Classic stuff, but the classics work. So
I loved, and we seem to be going towards Konami and Syuri. Which would be tremendous. So assuming that Syuri puts away Azumi at the Korakuen shows, again, I've managed to avoid the vast majority of spoilers until we can do the podcast. That seems to be where we're going, and I love that pupil-teacher relationship that they have and how it's permeating into the matches. There was a great moment, and it's the most subtle thing, but it was amazing. We had Konami going, whenever it's a tag match, you get this moment where the team run in and knock everyone off the apron. Konami does that, knocks Maika off the apron, knocks Himeka off the apron, does not touch Syuri, walks off. And it was like, oh, I love that shit. And then there was a moment where Konami, I believe, had Natsupoi in the draping armbar over the ropes. So Syuri does the same on the other side. And it was just that mirror image was just brilliant. I really enjoyed that. And then the pair both got eliminated by Tora. Tora, by the way, who had a really good showing in this, didn't give a shit who was on the apron, whether it was her own team, the other team, the referee, the audience, didn't fucking matter. She was eliminating everyone.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Does not give a shit. I thoroughly enjoy. My favourite part of the match, though, aside from the chemistry between Konami and Syuri, which I can assume we're going to get at Budokan, which if we do, this Budokan card is becoming better and better, was Saki Kashima. She's been put away with Natsupoi's German suplex twice in previous encounters, and she's just about to be hit with it again, and Tora is sat in the corner, and as she's being deadlifted up for this suplex, Saki Kashima just holds on to Tora's foot. It's like, no, and gets out of it, and I don't know why it tickled me so much, but I'm enjoying
Tora's energy. I enjoy Tora's energy of I'm not going to try anymore. I'm just sort of I'm just here for the chaos. She's basically an evil Orange Cassidy at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I enjoyed this match. It was nice that Saki got the win. Gives her something nice. I thought it was also quite funny that she was genuinely shocked at being allowed to talk at the end. What, me? I'm allowed to talk. Yeah, take the mic. I gave it 3 1/4. I thought it was great.
I give it the same. Really fun match.
So let's move on then. So that was night 7. We now move on to night 8, the final night of the tour at Shinkiba First Ring in front of 161 people. So again, just another couple of results. Match 1 saw Saki Kashima defeat Saya Iida at 6 minutes with the Kishikasai. And then match 2 saw Utami Hayashishita defeating Lady C and Ruaka at 4 minutes and 39 seconds with the air raid crash. So let's go straight into match 3 then, Chris, which was a 6-woman tag. The Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo Watanabe, and Saya Kamitani defeating the Stars team of Gokiken Death, Mei Iwatani, and Starlight Kid at 11 minutes and 59 seconds. Saya Kamitani getting the win with the Star Crusher. Not a lot to say about this match, Chris, to be perfectly honest.
No, but like there was, every time tension was built up, Death got back in the ring.
She is the living, walking icebreaker, isn't she?
Yeah. I do like. I haven't seen the beginning of a death match for a while, mostly because she's normally on the undercard and on the smaller shows we only do the top matches. But I was happy to see her here, and I was happy to see her doing her thing, going on the ring, and then Momo having none of it. But yeah, this is just so your standard Stars versus Queen's Quest match. You've seen them all, really. Of the same compliments I have for the workers apply, of the same weaknesses, apart from Starlight Kid starting to get a bit more aggressive, which was her biggest issue, and that's being patched up. Just it's weird that you have Starlight here, but you can't give her anything to do with Giulia in the lead up to their match. It's weird.
That's my big issue. That's a huge issue I have, especially once we get to KBS Hall on the 11th, where none of that show mattered. It was, we use the phrase house show match. It was a house show match, and both women were in, as you'll see when we go back to that show, were in nothing matches. It would have taken nothing to rearrange the card. And don't get me wrong, I'm completely aware that we are building towards that Giulia versus Tam Nakano match. And this could quite easily play into the whole Giulia not taking Starlight Kid seriously. But if Stardom are going to book it like a filler defense, we're going to think of it as nothing more than a filler defense. And that's not fair, because Starlight Kid has improved massively, like enormously, from the start, end of 2019, when I started watching Stardom at that year-end climax show, all the way through to now. Starlight Kid is pretty much unrecognisable. She's more aggressive, she's cleaner, she's quicker, she's crisper. Everything about her has improved, and I think she's fully deserved this title match, but it's been given little to no recognition whatsoever, and to a lesser extent Azumi versus Syuri. And I suppose that's the problem with having these, in inverted commas, big shows in the for Korakuen Hall, just a couple of weeks out from your biggest show ever. Is it fair to say, at Budokan, where you're trying to build that card up to get the fans in, to get, all of the buzz about that show? But even so, you've still got other shows. You still need to build Starlight Kid. And, what's Starlight Kid done in these past few matches? Because she lost here. She lost on the 11th, or she was part of the losing team. She didn't take the pinfall. So
beat Ruaka.
Oh, great. So her big thing, on her march towards the white belt, she beat Ruaka in the opener of the 6th in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. It was a big, big peeve for me over these 3 shows.
Ruaka's probably the toughest of the children. She's the only one around at the moment.
I was just going to say, only because he and Arena and Hanan aren't there. The booking didn't make a great deal of sense in that regard, because, like I say, you'll see when we go through the matches from the 11th, there's quite an easy fix Especially as you're just throwing matches on the card seemingly willy-nilly.
Some of these feel like when you like universe modes, but your cat.
Well, we certainly didn't need to see Oedo Tai versus DDM again, did we?
Well, they are. But to be fair, though, Oedo Tai they are in a feud going for the tag titles. So.
Correct. So why not have Himeka and one of the other 5 members of DDM, okay, against Bea Priestley and Natsuko Tora, and then have Giulia and someone against Mayu and Starlight Kid.
It's a grand design, Rob. You're just not seeing it. It's a grand design. Grand design.
Okay, let's move on.
I can say grand design, and that forgives all booking folks. That's how wrestling discourse is nowadays.
I'm not.
Forbidden Door, Rob. Forbidden Door.
Oh, fucking Forbidden Door. Sick of hearing about that already.
I'm so fucking sick of it already.
Jesus.
And it's also all gonna be shit. Stop getting your hopes up. It's fucking New Japan. Anyway, let's move on.
Mate, if I get Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi for the title, I am more
You're
than happy.
You're not gonna get that. I will be surprised if even FinJuice do anything in their time in Impact. Like, they're literally only going to Impact because they're stuck in America again. And who the fuck watches Strong? Do you watch Strong? No, nobody watches Strong. Stop lying to me and yourself. You're making the baby Jesus cry. Okay, let's move on.
So this match, then match 3. Just moving on very, very quickly because I don't want Chris's head explode. Mayu and Momo had a brief but great exchange, as you would expect. Same for Azumi and Starlight Kid, who, their chemistry has always been fantastic. But my favourite moment of the match, again, comes from Go Kicking Death, which, who'd have fucking guessed that?
When she was jumping over Momo?
No, but that was also quite funny.
That was great.
My favourite bit was when she calls for the Brainbuster, which she never ever hits. Instead of going for the Brainbuster, she just rolls Saya Kamitani up. I thought that was quite funny.
That reminded me of. There was a match versus. This is the most random thing it reminded me of. But it was a match between Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton at Survivor Series 2007, and the Sweet Chin Music had been banned for reasons that were never adequately explained. And Shawn teased for Sweet Chin Music and then just walked up to Randy and rolled him up.
So what you're saying is that Go Kicking Death is the Shawn Michaels of Stardom.
I mean, she's a showman. Garth probably hates her. Those are the only 2 things you need to qualify to be Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, fair. I gave this 3 stars. I think I might have been a bit too lenient on it, but it was fine.
I gave it 3 as well. I actively enjoyed this match. There's nothing to talk about. It's another Queen's Quest versus Stars match.
Exactly. Semi-main then of this show was 6-woman tag with Donna Del Mondo, Himeka, Maika, and Syuri defeating the Oedo Tai team of Bea Priestley, Konami, and Natsuko Tora by our old friend DQ at 10 minutes and 46 seconds. Well,
the DQ made sense to me.
Okay, listen to what I've got to say, okay, and then tell me your side of it, okay? So this is word for word, Rob. These are my notes verbatim. Sigh. Of course this was ended. Of course this was ended via DQ. I can't make any arguments for this now. The chain is gone, but we seem to have just replaced it with a chair. I can't even argue that it's to soften the opponents for the match. It's a weaker way. Yes, I know I made the same argument for Konami, but she's done it once, giving it significantly more impact. Believe it or not, the choice of weapon wasn't my issue with Tora, it's the manner of the finish. Now, I understand that you are doing this DQ in order to weaken an opponent ready for the Korakuen shows, but this was the 7th, their title match isn't until the 14th. Okay, and we've already seen Tora DQ'd with the chair so many times since she stopped using the chain. And you showed in the elimination match, just make her this bull, just this fucking rock that you've got to get past. That's what she does best. Don't just give her a different weapon. I mean, she fucking hung her again. How do you hang someone with a chair? Just stop it. Because the thing is, if I thought this was going to be a one-off, I'd be significantly more open to it. But we've just had what can only be described of 8 months of chain hangings. So I'm very, very wary that it's just going to end up being Natsuko Tora's new kink, and I'm just not into it.
Okay,
if it was B Priestley doing it, or Konami doing it, the two people that are in this match, that would make maybe a little bit more sense.
She's fully overhereditized. She took an executive decision.
But she does it all the time for no reason.
But this time it had a reason.
You can't. Yeah, but even a broken clock's right twice a fucking day.
Yeah, look at Gaff. Look at your match of the year, Fred.
Hey? Oh, for fuck! Is this about Ospreay and Okada again? Fucking get over it, Chris. It's a great match. Just because Ospreay didn't win, stop being a bitch.
Honestly, I just said that because you're clearly already in a bad mood, and I like messing with you when you're in a bad mood.
I'm not in a bad mood. I am in a bad mood.
You're clearly in a bad mood. Okay, so I do think it actually works in this context. I get it's a week away, but also this is wrestling. We're talking about Sting got bloodbathed on Monday and was still covered with blood on Thursday. So I can somewhat forgive it being a week away, because if you got hit really hard in the head by a chair, you'd probably still be reeling for a week afterwards. It also helps preserve the champions going into the big match, and also it means no one has to, honestly, in this particular case, it's fine. It's not like in the 5-star where she was hanging people for no reason. Right, here there's an actual reason, and it made sense, and we had the decency to put it 10 minutes after a 10-minute match and not after a half-an-hour match.
Okay, then I raise you this. They had the show on the 11th, and Himeka was fine.
Well, quite frankly, that is
fucking fine.
Well, quite frankly, Himeka needs to start looking at her selling then. Jesus.
But in that case, right, you have got Himeka and Giulia versus Tora and B on that show on the 11th. Surely that would be the better time to do the chair spot. Have an actual match here. And I understand that you don't want anyone to take the pinfall. But if you don't want anyone to take the pinfall, don't book the match. Okay?
What if they did another... What if they hit them so hard that blood spurts onto a big stained glass window and they have to pay for the cleanup? They can't afford that.
You are such an idiot. You're not even taking this seriously now, man.
No, it's a fucking... No, I don't know if I'm not taking this particular match too seriously. I didn't hate it as much as you did.
Do you see my issue with it, though?
I can see your issue. It's honestly a valid issue, and honestly, I don't think we'd be as mad. You'd be as mad about this as if it wasn't for the last 8 months. And I understand that. Did you see that thread on Twitter that someone posted about the Moedatai DQs? About how there's a story about it, because I try not to get angry at the DQ itself if it makes sense, and it makes more sense here than most Moedatai DQs. I'm not actively happy with the DQ. I'm more just neutral towards the DQ.
I understand the DQ storyline, and we talked about this. I think it was on the 10th anniversary show where Konami was going after Natsupoi's arm, ready for this tag match, and I think that was roughly a week away. But that was the last time they fought each other. Tora fought Himeka less than 4 days later and didn't do the same thing. Now, I understand there was a brawl on the outside, and the match was enjoyable. I'm not shitting on the match. But surely that should have been the time to do the DQ. That should have been the time. And it wasn't even a chair shot, Chris. It was a chair hanging. Which, if it was a chair shot to the head, I wouldn't be that bothered, believe it or not, even though I don't condone unprotected chair shots to the head.
I do, but replace chairs with light tubes.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Fucking light tubes. What is wrong with you? But it's just, it's the manner in which it happened. It's the nonsensical booking of it. I understand, like I say, the DQ nature of it, trying to weaken them, ready for the Goddess of Stardom tag title match on the 14th. But they had another match. Himeka was fine. Tora didn't try it again, which makes you go, then what was the point in the previous day? And I know it's a Road to show, okay? None of this matters, okay? But even so, it irritated me. And I think you're right, Chris. I think the 8 months of bollocks that we've had with Tora and the way she's just completely... They're having to rehab her character because she's done that much damage to it with all these DQs. So she'd done loads of good work in the elimination match. She does really good work, to be fair, on the 11th at KBS Hall. But here, it was like, have you learned nothing? Just replacing the chair with a chain. That wasn't what I wanted. When I'm complaining about the chain, I'm not like, the hardware is the issue. That wasn't my issue with it, believe it or not.
What if she was using Tom Baker's cigar from Doctor Who?
Well, that would be perfect. I wouldn't moan at all then, obviously. Anyway, we'll see. It might just be a one-off thing. If it's a one-off thing, then fine, I'm willing to let it slide. But coming off the back, like you say, of, an entire year of this, it's like, fuck's sake, just learn. I gave it 2 stars, Chris.
I give it 2.25.
I'm willing to concede that. Bless you.
It's the only bassy part about me is my sneeze.
Right, main event then of this show was the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka defeating Donna Del Mondo team of Giulia and Natsupoi at 17 minutes and 11 seconds. Tam pinning Natsupoi with the Tiger Suplex. Chris, what did you think of this?
Good. I liked it. It was a tad long, like the last time these two had a match. Like the last tag match, but it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was, but for what it was, it should have been shorter.
I agree. I prefer their tag match from a couple of nights earlier in the tour when it was Giulia and Syuri. I thought that was fantastic. And this was still good. You had the lovely exchanges between Giulia and Tam, which I'm never not going to be invested in because Tam is such a good fucking storyteller. I thought Unagi was able to get in a little bit more offense, which is, a good story to be able to tell because you want her to be making visible progress as the trial series continues. I thought they're not exactly doing the greatest job of posing Natsupoi as a legitimate threat to the high-speed title at the moment because she took the pinfall here, and she seems to be taking the pinfall a lot at the moment, but we'll wait and see what happens there. It's not a major thing for me. I enjoyed the match. I gave it 3.5. I think it was just under what they were able to do before.
I went 3. I did enjoy it.
3.25, because that's how averages work.
Democracy.
This, ridiculous as it sounds, the match wasn't actually the important thing here. We got a great exchange between Giulia and basically on the verge of tears Tam, where Tam basically says, I would give my blood, my bones, or my hair to get at you. So really drives Tam as this desperate hero trying to down Giulia. And I think once we get to Budokan, for everything that Giulia is doing, the way she's treated Unagi, the stuff coming out of the Korakuen Hall shows, I think Tam has got to win this. Tam has to win this match at Budokan. Assuming that Starlight Kid hasn't taken the belt off Giulia. Which, let's be honest, they aren't going to do all this. Then go, actually,
imagine
Starlight.
Hair versus mask. Fucking Lucha Diaz Muertos fuckers. Okay.
But Tam has to win this, surely.
I'm pretty sure we'll go on to that in the questions, won't we?
Yeah, I imagine. The only thing is, Giulia has been built so well and so strongly that...
You know what's helping a lot, though, with Giulia is her theme. Jesus, it's like fucking a demon descending from... Or descending? Can you descend from hell? We don't actually know where hell is. So you could descend from it. It's like a demon walking on Earth. It's fucking fantastic.
Oh, it's a proper banger. Proper banger.
Now that Aretha has been gone for a while, it's probably the best theme in Stardom.
Well, interesting story. Throughout Valentine's Day, I was walking, obviously, around, and could not get this fucking song out of my head, and I didn't know what it was. And I was like, I don't know any of the words either, so I couldn't Google it. And I was like, what the fuck is that?
Just clicking on the microphone and just humming.
It took me 4.5 hours to work out it's Tam Nakano's fucking theme. My God.
I fucking hate Tam's theme.
It's the auto-tune. It's the auto-tune I hate.
The thing is, how is the auto-tune out of tune? Like, how the fuck have they managed that? Do they not know what auto-tune is meant to do?
Anyway, post-match, like I say, we have this signed off. Starlight Kid is thinking the same as the rest of us. Like, excuse me, I have a match with you first. What the fuck are you doing? Actually gives a really, really good account of herself. She's strong. She doesn't back down. She looks like a legitimate contender. Obviously, unfortunately, it's quite obvious, even without knowing the result, that Starlight Kid isn't winning this, which is unfortunate. And the build to their match has been awful. But
remember when we said that about Utami before she beat May on the podcast?
They did at least face off.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah,
but
overall...
remember when we said that the day after Osaka Dream happened? No, Sendai Cinderella happened.
Yeah.
Like, somehow, I'm so surprised more people didn't laugh at us.
Yeah, thank you for not laughing at us. We do appreciate it.
At least out loud.
Anyway, so last podcast we spoke about the Stardom invasion of SEAdLINNG and how it had set up Momo Watanabe versus Nana Takahashi for the Budokan show, and Yoshiko and Mayo had already been signed. So what was also set up for the 10th of February was a tag team match with Arita Nakajima and Nene Takahashi taking on Momo Watanabe and Saya Iida, the first time Stardom had stepped foot in a match in SEAdLINNG. This all went down from SEAdLINNG Shinkiba Night, from Shinkiba First Ring, in front of 200 people. It was the main event, and Arisa Nakajima and Nene Takahashi defeated Momo Watanabe and Saya Iida at 22 minutes and 13 seconds, with Saya Iida taking the pin, as we thought she probably would. Now, Chris, I know you were a massive, massive fan of this match, so do you want to talk about it, mate?
Oh, this was absolutely fucking fantastic. It's probably the best Saya Iida has ever looked. Like, despite the fact she was getting beaten down for most of it, like, she walked up to Arita Nakajima, threw a million fucking elbows, and then Arita Nakajima knocked her down with one. It was a time. Momo looked the most motivated she's looked since probably the Utami match. Nene's great, hitting people with B drivers just to annoy Momo.
That was great. That was the dueling B drivers. It was great.
But what it's like, okay, we're just gonna kick out one for B drivers. No, okay, that's the sort of level we're setting here. It's fucking fantastic. Like, I've only seen a handful of Nene and Arisa matches, but they're both fucking fantastic, and they worked really well with Momo and Saya. Like, Stardom wrestlers seem to be at the best right now, and they're working with non-Stardom wrestlers. Like, when we were working with people from Marvelous last year, that was May's best match. That was the best tag team match we got all year with the 6-man, and it was the best Azumi looked, apart from maybe against Starlight. So they just work really well with outside talent. I still think SEAdLINNG have the better tracksuits to fight me. But yeah, it's one of those annoying matches where I can't quite explain why I like it, because it just fucks. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example which won't make you raise a fucking alarm. Okay, so like Ilya Dragunov versus Walter from last year, or Bandito versus Speedball Mike Bailey. It's one of those matches where you can't explain how it works on like a logical level. It just kind of grabs you, and you're in this weird, violent zen zone for the duration. And it's just great, and I need more of it. It's definitely my tag match of the year so far. There's not been a ton of tag competition this year. Actually, that's a lie. DDT's had some good tag matches. That says Noah. I'm talking out my ass. But this is just fucking fun. You watched it as well, didn't you?
I did watch it, yes.
Did you watch the rest of the show? I
didn't watch the rest of the show, no. I just watched this.
It's weird because the high speed division there's a dirty ref, and I keep forgetting she's a dirty ref, so she keeps like joining in, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh right, yeah. And the high speed match was actually really fun, and as was the 6-man because Asuka's in it, who's in the AEW women's tournament, and she's fucking fantastic. Well, Asuka slash Venny, I think that's what she's going by in AEW, because otherwise you're gonna have like obvious confusion.
Yeah, I think it's Venny.
Yeah, it was. But let me tell you, when I wanted to get her in Fire Pro save, that was a fucking time finding an edit of her. Asuka. Oh, right. Yeah, there's just a million of like Asuka. But yeah, I would recommend the rest of the show. Fingers with SEAdLINNG. I've watched all 3 of their shows this year, and all of them have been solid undercards with incredible tag team main events. Like, all the tag team main events have made it onto my match of the year list. This is definitely in my top 5, possibly top 3 matches of the year, depending on where the fuck I put Keiji Muto versus Go Shiozaki, because I still don't know. I still don't. I'm going to nip this in the bud, because otherwise I'll go on again. But yeah, but this is definitely like the best tag match of this excellent run of tag matches, mostly because I'm already like invested in Momo and Saya, whereas I'm still in the process of getting invested in Nene and Arisa. So
I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you did. It was a very, very, very good match, and I really enjoyed it. I think Saya Iida was tremendous, not just in her offense and how she held herself, but also in her selling. She was fantastic. She sold Nene Takahashi like death. It was like she'd been hit by a fucking cannon. It was great. You're absolutely right about Momo. I haven't seen Momo that motivated since, the Utami match. She was great. She was firing around that ring. She was legitimately seen as a badass, and that match between Nene and Momo is going to be fantastic. Arisa Nakajima, we've actually had a question from Velkish on the Discord about what are my feelings on Arisa. I think she's very smooth. She looks to be a very, very, very good wrestler, but again, from the one match that I've seen, I can't give a full account of what they're, especially with it being a tag match. I'd have to go out of my way to see some singles matches before I can give a proper, fully fledged opinion.
If I can recommend anything, I can recommend her match with Nene Takahashi in 2018, because I've went back and watched some of these. Well, basically all her matches with Nene Takahashi I can recommend. She also had a really good one with Asuka in June, I think, of last year. And also any of the tag team matches from this year that she's had against Sari and Yoshiko. Yes,
I've heard that that's very good.
But all 3 of them are really good. But she's with different people. She's either with Best Friends or Nene. And proper good stuff.
Can't hear Best Friends without just going bow, tick the bow, tick the bow, tick the Best Friends.
I have the exact same fucking problem. Like how I assume from now. What did you give this match?
I gave it 4 1/4.
I gave it 4 1/2. I liked it a tad bit more than you two. But okay, so we moved on to like the next show, talking about like songs getting stuck in your head. Every time Kyoto is said or read, I just think of Phoebe Bridgers.
Yes, I get that. Just before we do move on, though, to KBS. An
incredible album.
It is.
Right, go on.
Just before we move on to KBS, post-match, Honori Hana, who is a rookie, I believe, from SEAdLINNG, challenged...
Yeah, she had a match with Makoto. Is that how it's said? If it's not how it's said, I'm going to be corrected. Earlier in the night.
Yes.
And it was okay.
She is challenged for the Future of Stardom Championship, which is to be confirmed and is taking place in the Stardom ring. So that could potentially be the Budokan Future of Stardom Championship title defense. We are yet to see. Let's move on then, because I know Chris is desperate to talk about this show. So the final show we are talking about from today is going to be from the 11th of February. Stardom, We Are Stardom broadcast start commemoration. Fucking hell, what a mouthful that is.
That's very clearly like directly translated from Japanese with like no other... But like no way, like no changing to make it make sense in English.
Yeah, it's just the celebration of the We Are Stardom TV show. But This is from KBS Hall in Kyoto, Japan, in front of 232 people. And Chris, we need to talk about this venue. What
it's
a
beautiful,
fucking
isn't it?
venue. One of my favourite ever venues.
Dragon Gate run it a lot. Stardom's ran it before. New Japan run it, but mostly just for like Fantastica Mania.
I was just going to say they haven't run it for anything big ever, I don't think.
Nah, so it's not a big venue, it's just really pretty.
Gorgeous
All Japan ran it last year. Yeah, that fucking massive stained glass window. Like, honestly, it was a bad move having the hard cam on it, although you definitely should have the hard cam on it because it's beautiful. But also, having the hard cam on it meant I was not paying attention to any of these matches.
The way that they opened, and it was just the light and the way that they had the stained glass window framed, it's gorgeous. It's just such a nice venue. I'm only familiar with it through Dragon Gate, but I would happily see Stardom run this venue more. And even like people like Giulia was like, I am so excited to wrestle in this venue.
So pretty, like, oh my god, I'm very easy to please, and colours is a quick way to my heart. And there's so many colours, and they somehow none of them clash. They all go well into each other, and I'm pretty sure it's trying to tell a story, but I don't give a fuck because it's so pretty.
Okay, now tell everyone what you told me.
Oh, if I was to fuck a building, I'd fuck this building.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting me to go into that quite as confident, did you?
No, I just hope it's come across as fucking weird as it did via text.
Like, I don't know, like, you look at something like Sendai Pit, and it's like, you know what? Nah, I wouldn't. But this building, oh my god, yes, definitely. I'm very proud of us. Like, we're not those that kind of people, but we've not objectified like any of the wrestlers once in this podcast, but I've managed to objectify a building.
It's a fit building, to be fair.
It is a fucking beautiful building.
It is.
I want
Anyway,
to treat this building right. Go for dinner. Go home, have some coffee, a wee nightcap.
Throw on some Barry White, see where the moment takes us.
Look so good.
Is that your Barry White?
I don't have a very bassy voice. All right, it surprises people when they see me because I remember my classmate after like we had like this big presentation in like Perth City Hall, which isn't quite as nice as KBS Hall. Last year, and it's the first time like our class actually went out for a drink because we all went out for a drink afterwards, and he was like, "You know what, mate? You look really intimidating until you started talking."
I can attest to that.
Like my voice is not an incredibly like if you saw like I'm not sure how many actually if you're in our Discord you have seen my face, but like if you see my face, it doesn't quite match up with my voice.
It doesn't at all.
I can't do a bassy voice at all. It's quite frankly an affliction up there with being Scottish and not having the fucking accent.
So a couple of the results then before we kick into our reviews. Singles match, Natsupoi defeats Lady C at 7 minutes and 28 seconds. Tam Nakano defeated Ruaka at 7 minutes. And then in tag team action, the Donna Del Mondo team of Maika and Shiori defeated the Oida Tai team of Konami and Saki Kashima at 10 minutes and 34 seconds. The first match that we're going to talk about, match 4, the second match of Unagi Sayaka's 7-match series, with Azumi defeating Unagi Sayaka at 9 minutes and 45 seconds with the cross arm breaker. So I've got a couple of, like I said, this is how I'm going to link it to the match with Giulia that we talked about. Unagi got in far more offense here than in Giulia, as you would expect. A, Giulia is higher on the totem pole, and it was her first match against an opponent who had already embarrassed her once. B, she's going to get better throughout the series, otherwise, what is the fucking point of it, as I said before? And C, Azumi is a completely different competitor with a completely different story with Unagi than Giulia. So, you know, I read, I don't know who it was, I read about the lack of selling from Giulia and then Azumi giving a lot more. Well, yeah, obviously, because it's a completely different match, completely different competitors. So, and completely different story. You know, they're trying to tell a completely different story. You still had story here. You still had Azumi literally not giving a shit about Unagi. There was no respect there whatsoever. I mean, the pre-match promo, she said, we haven't fought before because I've never really seen the point of it. Which is like, ouch, that's harsh.
That indicates that we go up to people like before a show and going, "Hey, who do you want to face?" Not Unagi. Like we have a numbering system. And it's like sort of like how we decided what bus people went on school trips. Where like you put like 3 people you want to be on the bus with and 3 people you don't want to be on a bus with, and we allocated through a weird point system. That probably wasn't the best analogy I could have made.
No, certainly not. But it offers a terrifying insight into your real life.
I'm very much sure that this was a solid little match, but I was not paying attention at all.
Because of the venue.
I was too busy looking at the fucking thing last window. Like, the match looked fine. Like, Unagi didn't pull out anything overly special, but, you know, Azumi can work with basically anyone, and she worked with Unagi well here. She looked a bit better than she did against Giulia, but, like, Azumi's slightly further down the totem pole, so that makes sense. 10 minutes might have been a tad long for the style we were going for. Unagi kept up fairly well. Like, she didn't put too many feet wrong. The venue was very pretty. And yeah, it was fine.
Despite some rallies from Unagi and some moments of momentum, you never really thought that Azumi was out of control of the match. And when she felt ready, she ended it. But the crowd, again, were really hugely behind these Unagi moments of babyface sort of fighting from underneath, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to build Unagi. And there was a great visual of Azumi submitting Unagi as just with Unagi face on with Tam, and basically Tam outstretching her hands towards Unagi before Unagi eventually taps out to the cross arm breaker. It was great, but post-match, I mean, you compare the early goings in this match, you've got Azumi basically trying to pin Unagi with her knees, okay, because she's got no respect for her, but at the end of this match, Azumi, handshake, respect earned. So that's her respect that she's earned, she's also she's earned the respect of Sayaka at the 10th anniversary show. So we're getting there with the story. Of course she's not going to have the respect of Giulia yet. There's more story there because those two factions are currently in the midst of a storyline. Was it anything special? No, I gave it 3. Still a good match, don't get me wrong. Like you said, Chris, Unagi kept up with Azumi pretty well, and Azumi is always nothing but crisp, so I gave it 3. What about you?
I also gave it 3. It was good. It was in a very pretty venue. Yeah.
Match 5 then saw a tag team match with the Donna Del Mondo team of Giulia and Himeka defeating the Oedo Tai team of B. Priestley and Natsuko Tora by countout at 10 minutes and 49 seconds. Or, Chris, should I say, Donna Del Mondo team of Giulia and Himeka defeated the Oedo Tai team of B. Priestley and the idiot with the red eyes, as she was referred to by Himeka in the pre-match promo.
Is that just what you're going to call her for like the rest of the time now?
Himeka seems to think that's fine, so I am now going to call her that.
Who are you to argue with Himeka? She's taller than you.
Exactly. See, I acknowledged it this time.
But it's yeah. Yeah, but I can't defend this one after. Like, I feel like the count out and the DQ should have been switched.
Agreed.
But honestly, this wasn't bad. This was a fun little clusterfuck. Basically, it was a fun little clusterfuck. I like that Himeka no longer feels lost in the shuffle.
No, I think at least for the next couple of months, I think sort of a tag division is a good place for Himeka until they're ready to push her again.
I hope Himeka and Natsupoi have a good run from now on.
Nope.
Not going to acknowledge it?
Nope.
Well, you did by saying nope, but...
This match had, well, these final 2 matches, in truth, had a really house showy feel to it, you know, sort of going through the motions, really. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Himeka was made to look strong ahead of the tag title match with Micah on the 14th.
This isn't anywhere near as head-scratching as when we had Himeka do a Ryback squat.
No, the 2-on-1 handicap match, which made no fucking sense.
which was months ago, and I'm still recovering from it. Slide it up.
Tora looked pretty good here, I must admit. She didn't get DQ'd, which is always a plus. I think we're in the process of trying to rehab her character, like I said before, so we'll see where the next couple of matches go.
They've done a good job of it so far. Like, she's had one DQ since the Giulia match, and that one DQ made sense in my eyes. So I'm fine with Oedetai currently. I'm not as militant against him as I was coming out the 5-star or even Tag League. So good stuff. I have nothing else to say about this match, but it was just kind of fun. I enjoyed getting to hear Giulia's theme again. It's a good theme. Is it on Spotify? I hope it's on Spotify. I should look. I'll look later.
Match 6 then, and the main event of this show was 6-woman tag team match with the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamitani, and Momo Watanabe, defeating the Stars team of Mei Iwatani, Starlight Kid, and Saya Iida at 15 minutes and 13 seconds with the German suplex. Though, to be fair, this match could have been longer. Who the fuck knows? Because they seem to have cut half the fucking match out of it.
Yeah.
What was with that cut before the air raid crash?
That was weird, wasn't it?
Like,
okay, so it's funny because me and Rob have been doing this for a year, and it only dawned on us about earlier this month. No, dawned on us at the end of last month. It's like, why haven't we been going half as in Stardom World this whole time?
Yeah.
So I watch. I'm currently used to glitches because there's always glitches in the full show uploads, which I watch to make sure Rob doesn't get spoiled. And yeah, but I watched the full show, just the match on this one because I had only this match left to watch, and that was weird, wasn't it? We can't review this match like in good faith because we don't have it all there in front of us.
God knows what happened.
Honestly, we could have had like an Osprey, like we could have had like an Osprey Ricochet exchange between Saya and Starlight. Saya Iida could have went full Walter. Maybe like Superman burst through the stained glass window, realized it was the wrong building, turned the world backwards, to turn it back in time to when the window wasn't broken, so he didn't have to pay for repairs. Maybe Onita came out with his barbed wire bat. And I'm trying to think of something more ridiculous. Can you think of anything?
I was waiting for you to just tire yourself out like a small child.
It's like, honestly, Chris, sometimes I just have to let you play and then you'll stop. God, did you? It's like you watched Marriage Story like last night, like I did, which is a really good movie and it made me cry. Anyway, yeah, so we can't really review this match in good faith because we didn't get the full picture. You don't mind me of? There was a Mayan Classic match with like a very obvious cut right before the finish, and it's like, damn, what was the point?
But it
was
like a full on fade transition. It wasn't even like it was just a cut.
It was like when Poochie went home in The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yes.
Christ, it was weird when it, like, even Lucha Underground didn't do that, and they had every opportunity to do that.
I'm not going to review the action in this match because, again, like Chris said on the previous show, if you've seen one Stars vs Queen's Quest match, you've seen them all, especially on these smaller shows. But not this one, because fucking anything could have happened. I thought Momo's promo, Saya, so that first bit of Momo just going, Saya took the pinfall, so I'm going to beat her up, and then transitioned seamlessly into, look at my brand new coat. Which was it was great. I love that.
It's a good coat, to be fair.
It is a nice
coat. By the way,
coat.
we didn't bring this up. Did you notice Unagi's belt in like the previous match? Like she had like cowbells on her.
She does seem to be having more.
Is she
and
a
more
Morris
stuff.
dancer now?
Yes, that is a gimmick. She is a Golden Samurai Morris dancer.
What a sentence!
Not a sentence I thought I'd be saying. I'll be honest.
Is she just gonna keep adding like weird things from a bygone era to her? Like, is she like gonna come out next week in like disco flares? And like, I don't know.
Why was that the first thing you went to? So we've got samurai and disco. Why did you instantly go for the 70s and disco there?
Dance Dance Revolution, Samurai. The song Samurai from Dance Dance Revolution. Like, never mind. It was a poorly thought out joke because you put me on the spot. She's gonna come out in like a Matrix leather coat, she's going to be listening to fucking Blink-182 like a
Chris,
nerd.
Chris.
So
Chris. Shut the fuck up.
Is it because I insulted Blink-182?
Post-match was the best bit of this match, because you've got Queen's Quest obviously having won the main event, and Utami attempts to take Saya's hand, as she has done with Momo, to raise the hands because they won. Saya Kamitani completely blanks her, refuses to hold her hand, puts her hand behind her back. And you think, oh, shit, okay, a little bit of sort of unrest between Queen's Quest. But then Utami goes full dickhead by going to give her the mic to speak, and then as Saya goes to take it, snatches it back off her and starts talking again, ending the show. So she gets her revenge. I gave it 3, Chris. It was there. It was good for what we know. Anything could have happened, as Chris has gone into a lot of detail about. But yeah, I gave it 3, mate. What about you?
I didn't give it anything. It's not a full match. It's unfair to rate it.
Fair enough. Right, anyway, so let's have a look at some of your questions. We've got quite a few today, Chris, so we'll go through them. Going first on Twitter, starting with @lone_saber. So there's 2 questions here. The first one, hello guys, couple of considerations. After the last few shows, I'm really struggling in getting behind Giulia. She's doing a really good job in making people hate her. DDM in general don't look like such a heelish faction, so I don't understand why pushing Giulia that way. And then sort of following on from that, the second consideration is about Azumi. I'm really impressed by her performances, and in the last shows I'm seeing more great improvements. Do you think we can dream to see a much stronger push outside the high-speed division? And for DDM and Giulia, what do you think about them? So basically, Chris, DDM and Giulia, what are your thoughts? And Azumi?
For Giulia, I'm liking the current thing of shooting on everyone and everything. It's amazing. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a weird transition, but I love it. I think it's great.
It's definitely a choice. But yeah, it's I've had the opposite thing where I've went from being completely not hostile but not happy with Giulia's push to actively looking forward to seeing it. Not necessarily because of her in-ring stuff, but like because of her charisma, because of everything else. Like, she still needs the right person to go with. In that sense, I'm trying to make a comparison, but if I said Okada, I'll be shouted at. But yeah, I've an opposite problem. I'm completely behind Giulia now, which is weird considering where I was around this time last year. Like, it's a fairly quick turnaround there. In terms of Azumi, I think high speed's good for her right now. High speed, I think, could be a good jumping off point for her. I think she did. I want to see how she do in a bigger title match within that format. Because while she does have some bombs, she doesn't really have the moveset that you'd imagine you could see in the world title scene. But also, you don't need that. But like, if you want her to be a champion in the future, maybe develop some more big bombs. But yeah, I definitely see Azumi going big places in the next few years. But like, I think what we forget about Azumi, because she's been there for years, is that she's fucking super young.
She's 18.
Like, and I know, that's the thing. We say that about everyone on this roster, but she's fucking 18. So I have complete faith that she'll, if she doesn't decide to leave early, that she'll do great things in Stardom.
Agree about Azumi. I think we've got a lot of time with Azumi. Again, hoping she doesn't leave. But you think Mayu started in the high speed division and then transitioned into being one of the greatest wrestlers in Stardom history. So, you could sort of look at that for Azumi. At the moment, she has got a very high speed specific style. Which, if she is transitioning into consistently fighting for the white belt, the red belt, or even the SWA in its current form, I think she's got to develop a more hard-hitting offense, which is what Starlight Kid is doing at the moment, and I'm sure we'll see Azumi doing over the next couple of months, 18 months. I think she is tremendous in ring and always have done, so I'd love to see more Azumi, but just not yet. I think give her a bit of time, let her have this monster run with the high-speed belt, build her up, and then maybe have her win the Cinderella in 2022 or something like that to give her an opportunity at a higher belt. I mean, she might be a defense later on. I mean, she is the only member apart from Hina of Queen's Quest that Utami won't have defended the belt against, so it might be coming, who knows. As for DDM and Giulia, I quite like the disparity between Giulia being this massive heel, and it's an obvious heel thing now, as opposed to the rest of DDM who are considerably more tweener. You look at Syuri, who, during one of these pre-match promos was singing along to Jingle Bells. So we've talked a little bit, and this is my own personal theory, we've talked a lot about how people like a Syuri are going to come out of the shadow of Giulia. Maybe it's Giulia's arrogance and the way she's going about things that eventually leads to the dissolution of Donna Del Mondo. Who knows? Maybe they're going to come out of Budokan with all the gold, and then eventually just Giulia's heelish antics, her general egotistical nature, maybe that takes over. You see people like Syuri becoming more and more disenfranchised with it, and maybe that's how we get that Syuri and Momo faction and Konami. Who knows? Maybe I'm a dreamer, but I think at the moment I love Giulia's stuff. I think it's layered with story. I think she did a tremendous job getting Unagi over, even though on first glance it doesn't look like it. It just looks like she's trying to bury her, but it's not that. It's a deeper story than that. I think if Tam takes the white belt off her at Budokan, then that's going to be one of the biggest pops because of how well and how long the storyline between Tam and Giulia has been going, but also how well they've managed to reignite it. Because this is a feud, ultimately, that has been dead since, Yokohama Cinderella in October. So, to reignite it in the way they have done, I think is tremendous. But I can see why some people are finding it hard to sort of gauge the heelish nature of Giulia at the moment. I think she's doing it really well. But I do think that there could be a moment where these heelish antics could be the undoing of DDM. Who knows?
Can I make a strange comparison?
Even if I say no, Chris, you're going to make a strange comparison. So yes, go on. What's the strange comparison?
It's a bit like Sting and Lex Luger.
What?
Like, one is obviously heel, one's obviously not, but they're friends anyway.
Maybe. I mean, didn't Lex Luger turn on Sting? Didn't Sting have a history of everyone turning on him?
Yeah, because Sting is really he's been in some toxic relationships. He's not good at spotting them early, and then he's too ready to trust again.
Anyway, moving on to the next question. We've had a couple of questions actually regarding this. So at Randy Sally, I think that's how it's pronounced, on Twitter has put, what would change if Stardom were to broadcast live? I think this is a huge issue. And then later on, we've had a conversation. Here we go. Crazy Pete 315 on Discord. Question I have is, should Stardom take next step in production now and start streaming live shows and even commentary on World like New Japan? Chris, I'm going to answer first, if that's all right, just for this. I think we are going to see Stardom broadcasting live soon. It is the next natural step. The difficulty is it's a completely different setup to stream shows than to record shows. We had that with the Super J Cup, where venue in America didn't have the capacity to stream shows. It didn't have something there, so it meant that we couldn't stream it live. So you've got to make sure all the venues are able to do it. You've got to make sure you have the right stuff, and I think it is going to be a case of sooner rather than later. I think we are going to get Stardom shows streamed in full. It's certainly something that would make this podcast a damn sight easier. But I think it is. I don't think it's a huge issue. At the moment, it does make avoiding spoilers quite difficult, and I think that's a huge issue, especially for Western audiences. As for commentary, for newer fans, I can understand the lack of commentary, especially if you're used to something like a New Japan. The lack of commentary.
You had that problem, didn't you?
I would.
When you first
100%. Yeah, and it's actually a massive reason as to why I didn't watch a lot of All Japan. Because the show that I watched didn't have any commentary. And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm okay with this, but the more I've watched Stardom, I actually prefer the lack of commentary. And the reason I prefer the lack of commentary is because I like to be left to my own devices to when, to the things that are going on, to the stories being told. And sometimes with commentary teams, you get that story thrust down your throat. You are told it over and over and over again. There's no way to infer it in your own way. There's no way to take it in your own way. Whereas without commentary, it's all on you. You look at the story. You come up with the story. And, Stardom wrestlers are very, very good at coming up with those stories that you are able to watch. And I think, I'm not saying that commentary is a bad idea at all, especially if you're looking to get newer Western fans. I think it's a step that they're going to have to take. But personally, it doesn't bother me anymore. The one thing about streaming is we get the promos translated into English because they've been recorded. I like that. If they were to stream it, we're not going to have that. So that's just something to bear in mind as well. Chris, what about you?
In terms of accessibility, it's a weird one. So, problem is with a lot of English commentary of Japanese wrestling is that it's not very good, and that's because they can't afford, and apart with the exception of New Japan, who can afford a professional English team, and for some reason pick Kevin Kelly. But problem is, a lot of time English commentary can get things wrong. We're trying too hard to be a bit to be over the top because that's how fans are used to it. In terms of Stardom, I think the balance they have for English accessibility is perfect because the lack of commentary has never been an issue for me. When I first got into Stardom, I thought it would be, but as soon as I got into the stories, it's nah, it's not a issue at all. I think commentary is just a thing of you expect it, and therefore it's weird not to be there. But after a while, you don't mind, because we've had commentary on big shows and it's been fine. But again, like you said, when shows were streamed, we didn't get the promos, and for us hosting this podcast, we're pausing on the stories. That was a massive pain in the ass, and it's annoying as well. Because you want to know what the story's going on, but you just sort of sitting there seeing people talking a language you don't understand because they're not going to talk. I don't want them to go live at the expense of everything else, but also they did went live, we'd have to bring in some English commentary if we want to keep up that instant gratification in terms of not having to look up a promo afterwards. I don't think they need it. Going live, they're already doing that, but they're not doing that on World. It's strange. It's an answer. It's because on one hand you can see why it's necessary, but also as things that because there's levels to pure accessibility. New Japan objectively is the most accessible pure because you have English commentary on basically every show. Everything's live. Everything with the exception of 3 shows in 2019, everything's on World. So that's the easiest, and then you go one down to Stardom, which is the promos are in English, but everything else you'll have to your own devices. But but like you said, they give you everything you need, and it makes it easier for people like us who kind of end up speculating a lot and thinking, "Oh, did they put in this little niggle as a reference to this?" It's nice to talk about that instead of New Japan where they sort of just throw it in your face. But then go one down, you have something like DDT and TJP where nothing is translated on the show, but there's Twitter threads where people translate the whole show. So I don't know. It's honestly, I think in terms of accessibility right now, Stardom is fine. It's sort of shown by how popular they are outside of Japan. So I don't think it's necessary because here's the thing, I would support it if they managed to do it well, but seeing how because I think of English commentary on Japanese wrestling. I can't think of many examples where I actively like it. There's times like with Noah where I don't hate it, and that's sort of the best you can ask for. Like, I can see why they'd want to do it, but for my own personal enjoyment, I think it would tarnish it a little bit.
I think it's probably inevitable that it's going to happen. I mean, if
it
you
is.
look what Kamitani said about the dream or the ambition is to run a dome in 2025, you've got to draw a lot more eyes to the product, and that includes.
Yeah, you can't just do that within Japan. You look at like Wrestle Kingdom. People are traveling to
exactly
Japan just to see Wrestle Kingdom. So yeah, it would be really cool. And like it would, if they did it well, I none of my complaints really matter. The problem is the biggest company in Japan hasn't done it well, for my money.
See, I disagree. I think New Japan have done it well. I think they've done
Chris Charlton's great. If they got Chris Charlton, if they managed to poach Chris Charlton, I'd be completely on board. But
we are available to do English commentary, by the way.
Imagine if we fucking got that. We'd be fired so fast.
I don't think we'd even get onto one show, mate, to be perfectly honest.
We'd get here. I'd say cunt. They'd just stare at me and like we'd be like chop cut to like us walking out of Korakuen Hall with our bags going, well, that went about as well as expected.
I think the production aspect of it, actually, I mean, you look at the production aspect of Osaka Dream. That was amazing. That was beautiful.
We speculate. Like, did they have? Has that been confirmed that they had New Japan people, or is that just speculation? Because
I think that's speculation.
Honestly, it's speculation I made. I don't know why I even tried to put it like there was any official sources. But like, it was like the production of like a New Japan show, which is like probably one of New Japan's strongest aspects, their production values. So yeah, the fact that they can, like, you look at say the Noah show of this last from the other day, and despite the fact they were literally in the fucking Budokan, they clearly weren't shooting like they were in a big venue. They were still like doing close-ups to sort of hide the crowd. Whereas with the big Stardom shows, they've managed to shoot it absolutely perfectly. Like, they know it. They've thought it through. In terms of like production values, it's perfect. But it's just a case of would commentary add to it? Because like I don't know any Stardom fan who after like a show or two even like notices for lack of commentary.
I think at the moment, especially with the lack of crowd chanting, the lack of commentary has become a little bit more prominent.
I guess.
But for me, it doesn't bother me. I think the production, even since we've been doing this podcast, the production, you look at the graphics. So now we get updated graphics at the start of every wrestler's entrance. We get updated graphics at the end, post-match. You know, so that side of it, I think, is absolutely fine. Maybe the camera work could be updated. Like I said, just to tie this off, because we've been talking about this for a while, I think eventually full streams of the shows on the day are going to be inevitable. Maybe they'll just do the Korakuens to start off with. But I imagine if Stardom are projecting to run a dome in 2025, you're going to have to ultimately stream it live, update production slightly. We'll see about commentary. We'll see. Because I know it is a sticking point for fans who haven't watched it, so we'll see.
We've been experimenting with live streaming, but I think the thing with that, I think it's a fairly good idea to have the stream off-world and then put it basically immediately onto world. I think that's a good way of doing it, because it means we can use third parties like and like TV networks, which will streamline the process for them quite a lot. I think that's a decent model for now.
Or, if the worst, just stream it, put it straight on World, and then do what they're doing with the matches, the individual matches, put the show up straight away, complete with none of the translations. Then, do what they're doing with the matches now, the individual matches now, put them up, you know, a couple of days afterwards with the translations on. Then, we've already seen the show, and we're just waiting for the translation. That, in my mind, would be better. Maybe that's the first step. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, Niagara Driver. I was meant to ask this last week, but figured it still applies. What are your general thoughts on the SWA belt? Feels like they've successfully turned it into a third major belt in a short amount of time. I agree. I think it helps that it's been given prominence at the top of the card. You know, you had that match with Momo at the top of the show on the 30th. I think it helps who is champion, because this belt, unfortunately, is hamstrung by its rule set, which means that if you do give it to someone who is of Japanese descent, they can only defend it against Gaijins or, you know, people with... I mean, at the moment, we've got Syuri, who is tremendous. She's a great in-ring competitor, which means that inherently the matches are great. She can also defend it against pretty much anyone, which is great. It's effectively another belt, which is great because it is at the moment like a third belt. It's like a never title in New Japan, which is great, which is what it should be, in my opinion. The problem comes then when you think, well, who is going to take it off Syuri? Because if it is someone like, I don't know, just picking a name at random, Konami, okay, if Konami does take that belt, who can Konami defend it against? Giulia, potentially, because she's got Italian heritage. B. Priestley, who is in
Shuri.
with Shuri, yeah, or B. Priestley, who's in her own faction. So it does depend, unless you change the rule set, which sort of just makes it another belt.
Yeah,
it's still going to be hamstrung by who is the champion. At the moment, we are in a very privileged situation because we've got someone who can defend it against anyone, so we don't feel that rule set is damaging. But it
honestly,
will be.
I'd keep it on Shuri until things are opened up again, because Stardom pre lockdown has like a revolving door of outside talent. Like on the British side, that's slightly diminished now because we've got like Xia Brookside and all that signed. Like Xia Brookside can do force, they can appear, but like we had a few people coming in and out from the Australian scene. I think we even had they even had people from like the American scene coming in and out. So once it comes that comes back, that'll be grand. The problem is, at that point, it depends on the quality of talent being brought in, because I think that's what sort of brought it down before. You have people like Zoe Lucas going for it.
And that's no disrespect to Zoe Lucas, but she's not the same caliber as Momo Watanabe, is she?
No, that's the thing. So, like, right now it's being put up against high caliber talent by necessity.
Exactly.
So, like, it could be really good. It just depends on how it's booked afterwards. Because, like, again, basically, everyone in Stardom right now is of a certain level. It's just a case of when that starts opening up to the revolving door, is that certain level going to keep up? Are they going to be part of that forbidden door, Robert? I would. I'm like, I keep making jokes about it, but it's only through pain. I'm so sick of it already. Okay. I basically give him a thoughts there. Like, I am really enjoying the SWA stuff, but that's mostly because we get loads of Shuri singles matches, which is never a bad thing.
No, agreed.
Like, it's sort of like how whenever titles on Tanahashi, and as long as they don't make him go half an hour every fucking time, that's going to be great. Seeing more singles Tanahashi, so it's good. I think until the belts is like everything's back to normal and the belt settles down, we can't really say. But like for now, it's going to be really enjoyable because of the extenuating circumstances. It's basically the only thing that can be raised up right now in lockdown.
Velkij Braka has said in our Discord, somewhat more fitting Stardom question, because we are living in a world where bald people rule the wrestling world, when is bald Giulia winning the red belt? Obviously, assuming that she's...
Bro.
Go on.
Well, Giulia, it's going to be like fucking Stone Cold in the 90s, right? Going to be fucking stunning everyone. It's going to be fucking fantastic. Everyone's going to be dropped from their head, fucking jobbers. The rest of the Stardom roster, jobbers next to Bold Giulia. She needs to lose her hair, and then she's on the next level. It's going to be a faction. Jun Akiyama, Keiji Muto, and Giulia. They're going to take over all the belts, all the fucking belts. It's going to be fucking fantastic. Have you ever watched Freedoms? Where you are now? Because fucking Giulia's going to go there, have a death match with someone, and take their championship.
You happy now?
Then we're going to go to America. Ring of Honor, you're not safe. Jonathan Gresham, you fucking lovely person. You're about... I can't insult Gresham as hard as I try. I love him. But you're going to lose your Pure Championship to one of the Baldies. And then we're going to jump over To Britain, Progress. Fuck you, Progress. Your championship is now on fucking one of the Baldies. We're taking over the world, Robert.
Do a Stardom cast, Rob. Be really fun.
No, fuck you. You're the one who suggested this podcast to me, right? Don't you start like you didn't pitch this podcast to me.
Good luck finding the evidence. I do think Giulia will probably be the next champion. Like I said, I think Giulia will end up dropping the white belt to Tam. I think the natural storyline progression is for that to happen. As for when does Giulia take it, I mean, does Giulia win the 5-star this year? There's very high probability she'll win the 5-star this year.
Sweep the block, because both.
And yeah, maybe it depends where they're running. I imagine Giulia winning it will headline a big venue, so maybe Yokohama again, something like that. Sendai with their lack of crowd. I think it'll be towards the end of this year, but it is going to happen. For me, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I think she wins the 5-star and wins it after that. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, she's going to sweep the 5-star. Everyone else, jobbers.
Fuck's sake.
What? Why did you expect any other? With the way that question started, did you expect any other answer?
No. Last two questions then. No, shut up, I don't care. No, Chris. Stay. Be quiet now, my joke. What were you going to say?
What are you thinking of the old, bold revolution in Japan right now?
Unagi Armour and Keiji Muto.
Yeah. To be fair, you don't like DDT to begin with. So.
No, I have literally no thoughts on Akiyama. Muto, it depends. If Muto then drops it to Kiyomiya, then I suppose there's a transition there, so it works. But if it's just going to be...
Have you seen he just signed a 2-year contract?
Muto.
2 years.
He's going to hold it for 24 months, mate.
Yeah, and he's going to drop it to Inamura, and that big Scottish guy on English commentary is going to be fucking pleased.
Pippo then has asked in our Discord, I have a question. Who will stop DDM dominance? How could this faction be put down off their respective thrones? Now, Chris, without mentioning the word fucking bald...
Okay, I won't say that word. Chromedome Giulia, it's going to put them out their misery. You only specified one word, and I didn't say it once.
Go on. Who do you think is going to put DDM down? Because eventually they are. At the moment, it's looking like they're going to hold all the gold. So, who dethrone? I mean, I've already outlined what I think is going to happen. I think Tam is going to dethrone Giulia, and then eventually it will all fall. As we've said about the SWA, you've got to be careful with the SWA because it depends who you put it on.
Mm-hmm. Because basically the only viable people right now are Giulia, who's above the belt, and B, who I don't think a B reign would be anywhere near as revered as a Shuri reign. Even if B was having as good matches, people aren't big on her.
Well, we'll just point out as well, Chris, that she has only just... She was the champion before Shuri.
Yeah.
So,
but she didn't hold it very long, did she?
No, she didn't. Still,
like it was a surprise when she dropped it to Shuri.
It was, and then Shuri changed the rules, so it was like, oh, all right then, fair enough. Didn't realize.
Well, she didn't change the rules; she just bent them into an inch of their life,
which is fine. I am okay with that.
I'm technically from the Philippines, Rossi.
I do think that Giulia's arrogance and Giulia's increasingly heel persona will lead to the collapse of DDM. I think
again, Chromedome Giulia is going to put out their misery.
Yeah, and I think Shuri will end up with her own faction at some point because you do want to highlight Shuri, and I think with her own faction that's easier. Get her out of the shadow of Giulia, because let's be honest, Giulia is a bona fide star. She's going to be a red belt champion. She's going to be a long-reigning red belt champion because Stardom are massive on her. So if you want to be out of that shadow, you need to be out of a faction. So maybe the arrogance, the egotism, maybe that's how DDM falls. Maybe that's how Syuri ends up with Momo in her own faction. Who knows? But at the moment, I don't see anyone, really, knocking DDM off the perch, because even if Tam does win the white belt, Giulia will go on to the red belt after the 5-star. So, there you go. Final question. I'm really, really impressed. I'm really intrigued with what you're going to say for this. Right. I tried this before we came on air, so Rhinosaurus Rex. Yeah, I think I got that.
Beautiful name. Beautiful. I don't know you very well. I basically just know you from limited interactions in our Discord, but I love you for the name. Big shout out to the homeboy.
Add one WWE wrestler who has not wrestled for Stardom before and book them 3 matches in Stardom based on current standings. No champions, just to make it juicier. So, how many did you say you come up with, Chris?
I've came up with 3. I initially came up with 4, and I remembered that Asuka's currently a
champion. Okay, I've got 2 definites, and then 1 maybe. So if you go first with 1, I'll go for another one. We'll alternate. So do you want to go first with your first one?
Okay, I'm going to go from like ludicrous to actually going to be well received, because like, here's the thing. If a WWE wrestler came into Stardom and suddenly started doing well, people are going to bitch.
True.
This is unavoidable. So I've went from most ridiculous to annoy people to something actually tasteful and good. So, okay, so Becky Lynch is going to come in. And her and Giulia are just going to be shooting on each other for months without either of them ever having a match. And then they have a trilogy at the end of the year. And there'll be death matches.
So you're just going to copy the Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch thing?
Yes, except better, because we'll have light tubes.
Okay. Do you know what? Just get all yours out of the way, because otherwise, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so how do you feel about your friend of mine, Charlotte Flair, coming to Stardom?
I think that sums up what I think of that.
Okay, so here's the thing. She's not a bad wrestler, and she has stage presence, and she has a name to her, and people hate her. So we need to put all of that into one. So we bring her in, and do a Vader Inoki, but with May.
Right. So
she comes in after Mayu's had an incredible match, let's say, against Goga and Death. And then she's going to challenge her to a match. Mayu, being prideful but also very stupid, is going to accept that match. And then she is going to be completely destroyed because she just had a half-an-hour classic with Goga and Death. And then after that, Charlotte Flair will leave. She'll not be seen. It will be a weird enigma that not everyone's quite sure has happened. It's going to be like when Jungle just randomly attacked him at Hazuki during her retirement. And then she's going to come back and beat May for the belt. And then go away again. And then come back and May will beat her.
Okay, and the next one?
Oh, the next one you actually like. So, Candice LeRae.
She was one of mine.
I was legitimately surprised she'd never... I was like, has she ever been to Stardom? How she hasn't... By the looks of things, she hasn't even been to Japan. I'm honestly surprised.
No, she's done DDT and she's done some Tokyo Joshi.
Okay. I'd have her in and throw in the high-speed division, to be honest. Because she's not quite got... she's got the bombs to be in the main event, but I don't think she quite has the presence. So I think putting in the high speed would be perfect for her, going up against Izumi and Starlight and Natsuko and stuff like that. And then she can work her way up. I think when she's face, she'd be a decent fit for Stars, and when she's not tweener, she'd be a decent fit for Queen's Quest, who both need some more numbers right now. And it would just be like fun high speed match. I have no story in mind really. Honestly just book her in the high speed division because it's a good place to start her, so you can build her up in Stardom. People won't be annoyed because she's a good wrestler in a division that matters but isn't like the top. You're not pushing her to the stars for no reason. And then you can if you want her in bigger programs, when you get to the 5-star, you can have her do well, have her pin a couple champions, because it's super non-committal pinning a champion of a 5-star, so you can dip your toes into how people will receive it, and if it's received well, you can start pushing up the card because she is a very good wrestler.
Yeah, to be fair, can't fault that. Because that was one of mine. So I actually had 4 because I just found my notes. Candice LeRae was one of them. So I'm going to do what you did, not the stupidest, but one that everyone's going to be like, what are you talking about? So, the third one, Naomi.
Huh. It wouldn't be the weirdest to ever happen and coming to Stardom. I mean, Brandy Rhodes has had.
True.
And to be fair, Naomi she's very athletic. She's just not very good at structuring a match.
Well, that's the thing. She doesn't have to have serious matches in Stardom.
No.
She could quite easily just have, a nice, fun little match. Yeah. Come on, I'd go King Death and Naomi tag team in Tag League. That'd be fucking great.
That'd be so colourful.
Oh my god, imagine that entrance in Japan. Oh my god.
They'd be neon green and clown colours. Just fucking.
Rhea Ripley.
Has she not been in Stardom? That honestly surprises me.
I don't think so.
Ripley.
Please check before I carry on.
And then you'll edit out this part of the pod. Did you not check beforehand?
I didn't check Rhea Ripley, I checked the others.
Okay, cage match, career. Let's have a look. She has not. I don't think she's. Oh no, she's been in 0-1. And Sendai Girls. 0-1 is so fucking random. What?
So if you imagine Rhea Ripley as the head of Oedo Tai, and then having huge Hoss matches against the likes of Utami, against Jungle, Himika, Maika, just having big bomb fests. They'd be great. Plus, she's a perfect fit for Oedo Tai. A big bruiser that effectively would make the entire outfit more legitimate. That's my thinking with Rhea Ripley. And then, are you ready for this one, Chris?
Uh-huh.
Bianca Belair.
Huh? She is undefeated.
Exactly. Donna Del Mondo. I think she'd be a perfect fit because not only is she improving at a crazy rate in ring, she's also super talented. She's great at telling stories. She's emotional. You can feel the emotion in all her matches. And she would put on tremendous matches with anyone in ring because she's quick. She can do the whole power game. You've seen her lifting Otis on SmackDown and all that bollocks.
I haven't.
And she's quick.
She did that?
Yeah, it's quite impressive, isn't it?
No way. I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's fucking impressive. She is well strong. She's hella strong. But yeah, that's what I do. I'd have Bianca Belair in there and have her just have great matches with the likes of, I think she'd have a great match with Giulia. I think she'd have a great match with Mayu. And I think she'd have a great match with Momo Watanabe. So I think any of those, to be perfectly honest, apart from Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch.
Why are the 2 biggest stars your biggest problems here?
Well, I was going to say Sasha Banks, then remember she was champion.
Yeah, to be honest, I was about to say I'm surprised you didn't say Sasha Banks, but she's champion, isn't she?
She's champion.
To be fair, I think her versus May, 2 people who have no regard for their own neck.
Yes, no, agreed.
You know what they should have? So once they had, in All Japan, someone was dressing up as someone from Virtua Fighter. They should have Sasha Banks come out, but she is her character from Mandalorian.
Okay.
A bit of extra money going Stardom's way with that Disney money.
Sweet Disney merch.
Yeah, that street Disney merch opportunity. You can run a promotion, free a month free of Stardom mode if you sign up for Disney Plus. No, have Stardom mode on Disney Plus. Oh, mate. Perfect.
Okay, let's hold the podcast there because I think Chris needs to go to sleep. Or...
Disney Championship Wrestling. This is what happened. Like, this is what happens when I drink coffee instead of beer on the podcast. This is your fault for having it early in the day.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Podbean, Apple, Google Play. We are literally everywhere. Please leave us a comment and a 5-star review. It really does help the podcast out. We have merch, so please go and buy or look at some merch. Just go and look at it. We don't even want you... Well, we do want you to buy it. We don't feel...
We have no personal stake in this.
Exactly. Don't feel like you need to buy it. Just go and have a look. Maybe buy some if you like it.
Rob got bored in lockdown and designed some shirts. It's basically the announcement here.
Exactly. Go and check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk. You can find us on Twitter at the StardomCast. Be sure to join the Discord. It is a friendly atmosphere with lots of Joshi talk, so please go and join that. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Chris, where can they find you?
At Chris Loves Puro. There we go. At Chris Loves Puro. Normally when I say my Twitter, it's in a script.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. We will be back at our usual time on Sunday reviewing both of the Valentine's Day weekend shows. Until then, we'll talk to you guys again soon.